Hello and welcome. My name is Jen from Smarty Pants Finance, and I'm super excited you're here. Thank you for anyone who's joining live, as well as people who are joining later in the replay. I have been coming on here every Monday to do free mystery shopping training, and I've been taking people through just different steps. Every week has been a new topic to help people to become mystery shoppers, maybe first-time mystery shoppers, or just to get better if you've already dabbled in it a bit. And so today we're just going to continue with a little more training. So I hope everyone's doing well. It has been a crazy week, a difficult week for a lot of people on top of an already difficult couple of months. So I just, I do hope and pray that everyone is well and that you are, doing what you can to help people around you, to love your loved ones and all of that, and just doing your best. And so one of the things that we do have control over, because a lot of things are kind of out of control, is our finances. And so my hope is to help people with their finances, to make better choices, to make smart decisions financially so that you can have peace. Financially, you can have success and you can feel good about setting goals, meeting them, and accomplishing things you want to. So I have a website, smartypantsfinance.com. I teach mystery shopping classes. You may have found me from my website or from my Facebook page. I also have a hotel mystery shopping group, and we'll talk a little bit about that at the end. And so however you've gotten here, I'm glad you're here. And if you have not watched the other mystery shopping trainings, I have weeks 1 through 4 have already happened, but all of the videos are still on the Facebook page. I started with what is mystery shopping all the way to how to sign up to be a shopper, how to get jobs, how to prepare for jobs. So you can learn a lot. Each video is like 15 to 20 minutes. And then today what we're going to talk about is how to actually do a job, like what to do when you're on the job. So part of knowing what to do on a job is what we talked about last week, which is knowing the guidelines and the checklist, like knowing what you're supposed to do specifically. There's no formula I can give you that'll say, okay, you do 1, 2, and 3, and you'll be able to do the job with success, because each job has its own requirements and criteria. But I can give you some help with what to do to make all jobs more successful. And then whatever you're supposed to do specifically, you'll figure that out once you go through the guidelines and checklists, which was last week's video. Okay, so being on the job. So mystery shopping, or sometimes called secret shopping, as is in the title, it's all about being mystery. It's all about keeping a secret. Your secret is that you're actually there on an assignment. So part of the success of mystery shopping is to make sure that when you're on the job, you don't tell anyone why you're there. You don't do anything that would draw attention to yourself. You don't act in an awkward or uncomfortable way, because anytime you act a little different than the average customer, the employees might wonder if you're there as a mystery shopper. And I have a friend, he works in an industry where he's a valet and he gets mystery shopped. And he's told me, he said, we look for the mystery shoppers. And he said that he pays attention to, maybe how much luggage they bring on the trip, or if they act kind of awkward, or if they ask different questions than the typical guest, then they start thinking, oh, that's a mystery shopper. And you don't want that to happen. You don't want them to figure out why you're there, because then the experience is going to be a little different. They might treat you differently. They might treat you better. And what you want to do is just kind of go under the radar, make sure that no one is suspecting that you're there actually on an assignment. And so part of the way to do that is to not say anything, to not bring any paperwork or anything that you might drop it and then it looks like you have all these checklists with you that you're not supposed to not take notes in a way that would be obvious. You do have to write things down sometimes. We'll talk about that in a bit, but you can't do it in a way that looks like you're actually gathering information. Another thing is to not ask questions or act in a way that you're trying to get a lot of information that most people wouldn't want to get. You have to be very subtle. So it takes some, you have to be calm, you have to be careful with how you say things, and then gather the information easily so that no one's suspicions are aroused that you're there for a job. Part of the a trick to that is also if you're bringing people with you. So so most hotels, bars, movies, concerts, all the assignments where you can bring someone with you, you want to make sure that they also know that you're there on an assignment and that you're supposed to be secret. So I don't tell, if I bring a friend, I don't tell my friend every single thing we're looking for. I don't tell them what I find. I'm doing all the work in my head. And then they get to enjoy the meal or the concert. But I do say, hey, we're on a mystery shopping assignment. Don't do anything crazy. Don't say anything to anyone. I had a friend that I would take on assignments, and for some reason she would like to tell people that we were on an assignment. So I'd use the restroom, I'd come back, and my friend would say, oh yeah, I was just telling her we're here for a mystery shop. And I'm like, no, don't do that. I don't know. So make sure your friend understands that you should also not be saying anything to anyone who might be nearby. So what goes along with that is sometimes you have to have a scenario. You have to have like a story for why you are on this assignment. So some assignments you don't have to have a scenario. Like if I do an assignment at a local smoothie shop, I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to order my smoothie. I actually like smoothies. It's very believable. I get my smoothie, I leave, I go home and write the report. But if I'm doing something that's maybe a little bit, it isn't actually something I would do, like going to look for an apartment. There are lots of apartment shops. They're available right now too. So if you're looking for jobs, there are apartment assignments I see online all the time. So if I was going to go do an apartment job, I own a house. So it's not believable for me as a homeowner to be going to look for an apartment. That doesn't really make sense. So what I would have to do is create a story or a scenario so that it is believable to the person I'm interacting with, and then they don't think I'm a mystery shopper. They just think I'm another potential renter. So what I would do is ahead of time, I would think, okay, am I going to tell her that it's an apartment just for myself? Is it an apartment for me and my kid? Is it an apartment for me and my husband? Whatever it is. And I would say stick as close to the truth as possible. Like, you don't need to create a really elaborate story. I just moved back from Dubai and now I'm looking for my first apartment in California. Like, don't make it a story that you couldn't even believe yourself. Stick as close to your own truth as possible, like what's actually real in your life, and then make the story believable. So I would say something like, oh yeah, I just sold my house. I need an apartment for the next year while I'm in the transition between jobs, or something like that, because I'm being transferred up to the Bay Area and I need a 1-year rental. I would not add a part about like my husband's moving in and my baby, because I don't actually have either a husband or a baby. So if you start making a story that's a little bit too complicated, you might forget parts of it. It won't come off as believable. And then you start to look like maybe you're not really there for renting an apartment. You might be there as a mystery shopper, and then that changes the dynamic and that could ruin the experience. Also, if you have a friend or a family member that goes with you on an assignment, make sure that they know the scenario too. So let's say one time I took a friend to a winery for her birthday, and it actually was her birthday. So when they asked, oh, what brings you guys here? Is this your first time? Is there a special occasion? I said, oh yeah, it's her birthday. I told my friend ahead of time too. I said, oh, they know we're coming for your birthday. So then we were all on the same page. One time my son and I went to a restaurant, and the guidelines said the scenario is this is your first time at the restaurant. And I forgot to tell my son. So if the guidelines tell you a specific scenario, like you're renting an apartment for a family, then you have to follow what the guidelines say. But if it's left up for your own discretion, you can come up with your own story. But my son and I forgot to tell him that we were supposed to be first-time visitors to this restaurant. And they asked us when we entered, hi, welcome, is this your first time here? And I said yes, because I was supposed to say it was my first time. And my son at the exact same time said no. And we both looked at each other. And then I just said, well, it's my first time. He's been here before. So I just kind of rolled with it. It wasn't a big deal. But make sure your companion knows if there's a story involved, make sure they understand as well. And that brings me to another point. Like if something goes a little bit wrong, like you and your companion say different things, just try to play it off like naturally. Don't over explain. Like if you start rambling on about this long explanation about why he's been at the restaurant but you haven't, it's going to sound awkward and maybe be a red flag that you are a mystery shopper. So basically the overarching goal is to be natural, and whatever story makes sense and actually fits you and your circumstances, that's going to be the most natural thing to present. Another thing you're going to encounter on assignments is how to gather the information and to take notes. So sometimes you can do an assignment and literally you can remember everything without having to write anything down. But a lot of assignments, there's going to be so much that happens that you won't remember, like the hostess's name, and then you might interact with the server and you won't remember their name, and then the busser's name, and then you meet the manager, and then it's all these people. So what I do is I use my phone and I have an app. It's called Google Keep Notes. It's a Google app and it syncs with my Google account. So if I take a note on my phone, if I just type in something really quick, then when I go home and I open my computer, the note is there on my computer. And there are other apps that do this. I like using my phone because I'm a texter anyway. So there are apps that actually look like you're texting yourself, but you're taking notes about mystery shopping. You can actually text yourself. You could bring in a crossword puzzle book. If you have kids with you, they could bring in coloring books and you could take small notes. So when you're doing the notes, you're not writing books. Like do not write my server's name was Jennifer. Just you could write Jennifer. Just put a little note in the phone on a piece of paper, but anywhere where no one will see it and where you wouldn't possibly drop it, it wouldn't get left on the table in the restaurant and then someone would find it when they're cleaning off the table. So discretion, being subtle is always key. I don't take notes when anyone's looking at me. So if I go into a restaurant, like maybe I'm supposed to buy a box of donuts. If I go up to the counter and I see I'm supposed to learn the name of the cashier, I'll look at his name tag, but I'm not going to write it down right away. I would just think, okay, his name is Robert, and then I'm going to place my order. And then if he turns around, if he walks to go get the box of donuts, if he starts helping someone else, then I might pick up my phone just like I'm texting, and I would just type in my phone, Robert. That's it. I'm not going to type a lot of words. I'm just going to do it super quick so it looks like I'm texting. But now I've recorded his name so that if I interact with more people, I'm not wondering, oh gosh, was it Robert? Was it Richard? Was it Ronald? You know, I've got it written down somewhere. Some people's memories are just really good and you might not have to write much down. I find the older I've gotten, the less I seem to be able to retain. Another trick is to, when you use the restroom, a lot of assignments, they want you to use the restroom like at the movie theater, make sure it's clean, all of that. You could also write something down while you're in the privacy of the restroom because no one should be seeing you in there. But wherever you take notes, whatever you do, make sure it's just subtle. Another part of many jobs is taking pictures. So a lot of times they want you to take a picture of your food. They might have you take pictures of the outside of the store, maybe even the parking lot, whatever the guidelines say. So if you're taking a picture of your food, that is super easy to do without anyone paying attention because lots of people take pictures of their food now and post it on Instagram or whatever. So that's an easy one. Just make sure you do it kind of like quickly, don't make a big deal out of it. If you have to take pictures of other things, the best thing is to be super acquainted with your own cell phone camera. I would not use a regular camera. Like if you're bringing a camera into a place and you're taking pictures, that is going to look super obvious. But your cell phone is the easiest way to do it because people love to take selfies. Sometimes I take pictures by actually, it looks like I'm taking a selfie. So I even like smile or fix my hair. It looks like I'm taking a picture of myself, but I'm actually taking a picture of something else. That seems to work well. It makes me look like I'm vain and want to take pictures of myself, but whatever, I'm just getting the job done. Another thing you can do is if you have a companion, like especially anyone who's between the ages of like 14 and 25, they are going to be super good with taking subtle, quick pictures because they're so good with cell phones. So if the guidelines allow for it, let your buddy, your helper, take your pictures. I do that with my son. I'll do the ordering and the paying for the food and all of that. and interacting with the manager and the cashier. And the whole time my son is taking pictures of things. And because he's 18, no one thinks anything of it because he's just another teenager taking pictures. Whatever you do, just make sure you're comfortable with it. Practice at home with your camera app, like practice how to take pictures easily. Double check your pictures. So while you're on the assignment, quickly look at the picture you took and make sure it's not blurry. Make sure your camera saved it. I've had that happen before. My phone, a couple phones ago, just pictures, I would take them and they would just vanish. So I would double check. So you want to make sure on the job you do that because there's no way to take a picture of your food after you've eaten it. And so check in the moment that you've actually gotten a picture. One time my son and I did an assignment at a Golden State Warriors NBA game up in Oakland, which was amazing. My son was a big Warriors fan, and there were a lot of pictures required for the job. So I put him in charge of all the photos, and it was amazing. He found ways to take pictures, like he would sometimes just have his phone kind of near his chest. It looked like he was just holding his phone. Somehow he was actually taking pictures while he did that. I don't think I could pull that off, but if you have someone who's super techie, let them help you with that kind of thing. So another thing that you're going to have to take care of is if something goes wrong. So if like you mess up the scenario, like you say, oh, it's my first time at the restaurant, but it's not supposed to be, just try to roll on. I mean, you'll know if you've made a fatal error, and if you've made an error that you cannot recover from, which has never happened to me, and it probably won't happen to you, just do your best to continue. Like, don't make it more awkward by over-explaining and by apologizing. Just stay calm, like, oh, whatever. I don't know why. I don't know. Just act like you forgot something and just move on. The more natural you act, just the better everything will go. Another thing to remember on any assignment is that the job is not about you. So you're being hired and you're being paid and oftentimes reimbursed to do a job. And sometimes when you get on the job, you realize it's not maybe quite what you want to do. So a lot of times the jobs are exactly what I want to do. I've gone to the Hollywood Bowl and seen concerts and saw the concert. I had dinner. They paid for my parking. Like, everything about the night was perfect. So I was happy. But there have been other jobs I've done where I'm like, oh my goodness, this is not exactly, I don't want to play two what do you call it, rounds of bowling. I just want to do one game of bowling. I don't want to do two. But if the job is hiring you to do two, if you're being paid to do 2 rounds, you have to do 2 rounds. And so just remembering that, like going into it with the mindset that it's work, you're being paid and reimbursed. My most painful experience where I ever had to like put the job ahead of myself. I was in New York City with my son, and we were staying at a hotel doing a hotel job. And a friend of mine invited me to come watch the Tonight Show being taped live and to see the band. And I was like, oh my gosh, that'll be so much fun, until I realized that night at the hotel, I was supposed to attend their wine hour reception thing. And unfortunately, they were both at the exact same time. So I did everything in my power to try to figure out how to be in 2 places at once, and I could not figure it out. So I had to say no to the thing I actually wanted to do, which was go to the Tonight Show, and I did the assignment the way it was supposed to be done. And my son ended up getting to go to the Tonight Show, so that worked out fine. I mean, I was happy for him. But your jobs will go better and you'll be more successful if you just remember you're being hired to do whatever they ask you to do. And you'll know exactly what you're supposed to do beforehand. So just go, okay, I'm going to have to play 2 games of bowling. Oh, I'm going to have to do 3 rounds of mini golf, whatever it is. And just go through, finish it to completion. If you don't like that job, you just don't have to take it again. Or if you loved it, you can, do it another time if you're given the opportunity. I think that's about it. I mean, really the goal is to have success, which means you're getting more jobs because you're doing them well, you're making more money, and you're having fun. And if you can do all three of those things, especially the making money part, then, you know, it's a success and you'll get better at it as you go along. Hopefully these videos are helping so that any questions you may have, you will get answered in the video series, or you could, even now, you could put a question in the question box and I will answer it. Trying to think if there is anything else. I do have on my website, I have a book for sale, The Mystery Shopping. It's a manual. It's really helpful. I have like exercises in it, all sorts of, I show you the kinds of forms I use, like for record keeping. It's a lot of information. If you like books, it's for sale as a paperback, or I have the Kindle version or an ebook. And right now, through the end of today, if you go to my website, which is smartypantsfinance.com, and you get on my mailing list, I will send you the Hotel Mystery Shopping chapter of this book. So it's an excerpt, it's an ebook, Hotel Mystery Shopping. It's from this book, but I'll send it to you for free. If you get on my mailing list today, I'll send it to you. So I think that is it. I don't see any questions in the question box. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. If you have used any of this information to sign up with companies, to apply for jobs, to get jobs, I would love to know about it. I get, you know, excited for people who are, you know, making goals for themselves and getting out there and trying new things. That makes me super happy. So I will be looking forward to that. You can email me. You can send me a message on Facebook. I have a mystery shopping online course coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that. Get on my mailing list so you know about what's coming. If you don't like, if you're not already in the mystery shopping, hotel mystery shopping group, you can join that, or like my page so you see everything that's happening. And I believe that is it. I will be back next week. I'm not sure, again, of what the topic is, but we'll talk about something related to mystery shopping, and I think that is it. So I hope everyone has a great day. Stay safe. Be a good neighbor to people. Be a good friend. You know, do all the things that will add positivity to our kind of unsettled world right now, and I hope you have a great week. Okay, bye-bye.